Hey everyone, welcome. I thought I would take you with me today while I make this very pretty button Christmas tree wall decor piece. I saw the button tree idea on Pinterest a couple of years ago, and I'm finally making it and giving it my own creative spin. I wish you could see this piece in person because it is so much more stunning in person as opposed to in the video. I love creating projects with buttons, so I really enjoyed this one. Okay, let me show you how I made this button Christmas tree. I have here a shadow box frame. This is an 11 by 14. You do not have to have a shadow box frame. You can make this simply with any type of frame. You could pick a frame up at the thrift store and paint it and find a decorative frame with some kind of design on the frame, and that would be really pretty as well. I picked up those canvases. There's 3 in a pack. I picked that up at Hobby Lobby, and of course that's an 11 by 14. Now this here is a very gorgeous, really stunning scrapbook paper that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It's silver and very textured, and it is absolutely beautiful. Pick up a scrapbook paper that complements your design. Make sure you have a contrast between your button color and your scrapbook paper. So you want those buttons to really stand out on your piece. I have here a big package of various size buttons. I picked the white buttons up at Hobby Lobby, and I also picked up all of these other buttons I'm showing you at Hobby Lobby as well. Notice I picked up various sizes. I have one really good size. That's the one right there. And what I meant before about seeing it in person is those buttons are so beautiful and shimmery, and they just glisten on the piece. I picked up these little gems at Dollar Tree at some point in time. I think I've seen them there recently as well. And I have 3 Scrabble letters that I believe I picked up in the pack at Dollar Tree as well, and they spell out the word joy. I'll be painting those. You're going to need tacky glue. I also used my little quilling glue dispenser. That can be found in the quilling department at Hobby Lobby. It just disperses a tiny amount of glue in some of those little tight spots. It's nice to have a very tiny tip on the glue dispenser. You'll need a sponge applicator, some Mod Podge, scissors, a pencil, and your hot glue gun. Now, I chose to do mine an 11 by 14, but you can do this piece in any size you like. You could do it in an 8 by 10. You could even do a very small version of it in a 5 by 7. You would have to, of course, make your buttons smaller. You can't have a very large buttons like I'm using on a 5 by 7. Possibly you could do an 8 by 10 with the very large button that I used. That one button, the very glistening big one, that's going right in the middle of my tree. And because I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas, that will work fine for that. So because I'm using an 11 by 14 and the fact that scrapbook paper comes in 12 by 12, I am going to have to piece mine. But I'm going to do it very strategically so I can camouflage the seam. Or at least I think that that's what I'm going to do in this piece. But I think it ended up doing it pretty well. Okay, so I have a generous amount of Mod Podge on my canvas, and now I want to press down that beautiful scrapbook paper and get a nice adherence of that scrapbook paper to the canvas. Now, this is not going to ripple at all. You don't have to worry about that. Just worry about getting it pressed down firmly to your artist canvas. Now I'm piecing together my scrapbook paper here, and I'm going to have to do this very carefully in order to try and conceal the seam. There's really no alternative here. If you want to make it a bigger piece, which I recommend because it's really quite stunning, as I mentioned in person. You just it's gorgeous, really. So I'm putting down a layer of Mod Podge, and now I am going to carefully place that scrapbook paper together and really make sure I have a perfect closure there in the seam. I spent a little bit of time on this part because I didn't want to be able to see that seam. But you'll see later that how I managed to camouflage that seam. I actually made the bottom of my Christmas tree right along that line. Now, be mindful when you start creating your Christmas tree. How is it going to fit in your picture frame? Okay, you have to be very careful to keep your frame close by so you can place everything down and keep trying it out. Put your frame over the piece. Make sure that you have everything spaced out well. The distance from the bottom, making it equal to the distance from the top. And also from the sides. Now, I'm starting to place out my buttons on there because you want to do kind of a dry run, so to speak, to kind of get an idea how you want to place everything. For me, I wanted to place my larger elements, especially my that very large button right in the middle. That's actually a button. And on the underside, it has the little ring that if you were going to sew it onto something, that's where you feed the needle through. So my little angel at the top was the only piece on this Christmas tree that is not actually a button. It was a pin. So I snipped off the attachment that you would normally use to attach it to your clothing. So I wanted it to lie flush on the paper. Now I just laid everything out kind of like I thought I wanted it to be. I had to make sure that I had enough buttons. And I have all of my the smallest buttons that came in that package of buttons off to the side there. And the first thing I'm going to do is to glue on all of my large elements. Now, I'm showing you there that little ring that I just mentioned before. The piece on the back of the button where you actually sew it to something. Those buttons you're going to have to attach with not only tacky glue, but also just a dab of hot glue. Reason why is you need an immediate hold, because those buttons, because they're balancing on that little ring on the back of the button, you need to balance them on your piece. So when you lay them down on your canvas, you just hold it for just a minute to let that hot glue dry so that your button is sitting level, if that makes sense. You're going to be, if you're using this idea with that type of button, you're going to be inserting some of those flatter buttons around it. So you want to be sure it's sitting nice and level on your canvas. And I'm showing you there what I'm talking about on the white buttons. The little ring on the back of the button, not all of them have a little ring, but some of them are just flat buttons with the little buttonholes. But that's the great part about this project, is it's all kinds of materials. It's all kinds of buttons, different shapes, different sizes. And then you have those complementary, beautiful pieces with the glistening gems in there. Oh, it's so, so pretty. Now, what I do is I start at the very top of my tree and I put on my, oops, that was in the wrong format there. But I put on all, all of my buttons. And I did it very carefully, making sure that I was keeping a good triangular shape to my tree and that I had a good solid line on the sides of my tree. And now for all the white flat buttons, I just used tacky glue. But anything that had that little ring on the bottom, I used tacky plus the hot glue. Make sure that you have it all balanced. Now, I'm not sure why this filmed in the vertical format, but I'm showing you there all those little gems that I got in that little bottle from Dollar Tree. Those match perfectly with those beautiful gems on those shimmery buttons. So what I did with those was, it took me quite a while, but I went around and filled in any little spots that needed filling. First, I filled in all the spots with my smallest button. Then I went around and filled in any extra little spaces, distributing them evenly and symmetrically with those little gems that I got from Dollar Tree. And this is where I used a lot of my, I used my quilling glue dispenser because it's such tiny little areas. Again, sorry about the format. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. Okay, so I have my buttons all glued down, and oh, so pretty. But you can see how I filled in all of my spaces. I'm showing you there all the way to the top with that very pretty angel. Now I have my 3 blocks that say joy. I am going to be painting those blocks except for the letters. I actually painted around the letters. And I am going to be using those as the trunk of the tree. But I wanted the word joy, so I decided to keep the letters. And I picked up a paint at Hobby Lobby. It's a sugar metallic. So I wasn't sure exactly what that was, but to me, I thought it meant a texture and metallic. So I thought that would be pretty as the trunk. So I gave them a few coats, and here you go. This is the final beautiful Christmas tree. And again, this is so much fun and so beautiful in person. And there's so many different ways in which you could go as far as color on this piece. Anyway, I hope you like it, and I will see you next time. Until then, you all take care.